Hi, my name is Josh Rossman. I'm a master's student at Touro College. Today I'll be discussing my paper on the WISC-4, which is an assessment tool for children. The WISC-4, otherwise known as the Western Intelligence Scale for Children, the 4th edition, is the most recent edition of the test. The test was originally created in 1949 in order to test children between age 6 to 6 and from 6 to 16 and 11 months, according to Cohen. The WISC-4 is one of the most important assessment tools when it comes to the issues of education, and certainly before addressing other specific curricular difficulties, it's important to figure out who the child is as a whole, both cognitively and psychoeducationally. And again, according to Cohen, this test really helps us accomplish this, and therefore it's important to really just understand this test if we're going to understand these types of tests in general. This test in general can really test children across the educational spectrum, from children on the one hand who may have special needs or learning disabilities, and children who are considered gifted children in terms of their learning on the other end. However, it would not be limited to these extremes, but it would include everything in between, and really is a great tool for assessment for most students and for most populations. And McCown adds that in addition to the educational realm, specifically this test can more specifically assess issues with cognitive issues, as well as specific learning disabilities or any other specific area where the student might need assistance. When it comes to assessments in general, reliability is an important factor to determine whether a test should be used or not. And the WISC-4 in general, according to Cohen, has been found to be a reliable test. This is true according to many measures. One of the assessments that we use to test reliability is the test-retest method, which has the test used and then used in a different setting or a different context to check if the results are similar, and indeed they were found to be similar in different contexts, and the test generally has been and is considered to be a reliable test. When it comes to validity, the test generally has been considered to be valid as well, although definitely is still an issue that needs to be fully hashed out and fully discussed, and more testing definitely is called for, but it is still generally considered to be valid. Additionally, administration of the test is considered an important factor, and with this test, with this assessment in particular, you really need a professional in order to properly give the assessment, which generally takes between an hour to an hour and a half. The test is made up of 4 different subsets, the first subset being Verbal Comprehension Index, which basically assesses the student's ability to understand and make connections in regards to language. The next subset is the Perceptual Reasoning Index, and this consists of 4 different subsets. The third is the Working Memory Index, which tests the student's working memory, how well they remember things, how well they can use the information that's within their working memory. And the last section is the Processing Speed Index, which in general is a good index when it comes to assessing for particular learning disabilities, and specific disability like ADHD would show up on a subset such as this, because that would slow down their processing ability. Feuerstein points out that an important factor in this test is that, as with all intelligence tests, it must be used to evaluate rather than to measure. In other words, we need to make sure that these tools are not used as something that limits our students, but is a way to see where they are at, to see what their abilities are, and to find ways to help them. It should not be viewed as a ceiling, but rather a floor, at a beginning point to help our students. In addition, when taking the WISC-IV, it is important to consider some of the weaknesses in the test. Among them are the fact that it's an English-based test, which means inherently it will not be as effective for students who are not who do not have English as their first language. It also has been found that the examiner is a significant factor when it comes to taking the test, and the examiner actually can impact the results. In addition, while most tests and most studies have found the WISC-IV to be reliable, there are those that question these findings and do not consider as reliable as others. In general, it's clear that the WISC-IV is considered authoritative and is in fact used pretty frequently with students in the special need population. It's excellent at assessing special needs. It's crucial in terms of helping within the IEP process, and as well, again, for students across the spectrum and for students who may be gifted and therefore need learning modifications in that regard. It's been a pleasure sharing my findings with you and my research.